When I became a mother, I was going through a lot of things. You know, my daughter was born in 2020 and we stayed at home. We never really went out. We only went out if we had to go to the doctor, if we had appointments. And so being indoors, it could be so much, especially in the year 2020. And, you know, um, I think the most hardest struggle that I wish somebody told me as a mom, that it's okay to do things that you like and that you don't always have to be reading books about being a mom, how to parent. I understand that, but in a way I would want to do things that I like to do, you know? And so that is exactly why I created my Etsy shop. So my life before being a mom was basically, ouch, I think there's like a bite here. I was an elementary school teacher. I was teaching in Dallas, Texas. I was teaching pre-K. Pre-K is like my favorite grade level, guys. Like at first when I studied to become a teacher when I was in college, they have my degree was basically from early childhood through 4th grade. And I was like, ooh, early childhood, I don't think I can handle that. But then later on, I ended up liking pre-K. I taught 1st grade and 2nd grade. And then, I taught kinder and 1st grade. And when I did pre-K as my last year of teaching, my last few years of teaching, it was so amazing. Like, pre-K is a whole different world, and I felt like that was more of that was my favorite grade level to teach. And so when I was teaching pre-K, I did a lot of things. I created different hands-on activities. I remember I did a lot of creating printables because sometimes I didn't like the curriculum. So I just created my own activities that follow the guidelines, the objectives for the week. Experiences as a teacher had led me to have my Etsy shop. When I was pregnant with my daughter in the year 2020, my husband and I, we talked about me being a stay-at-home mom, and then I became a homeschool mom, a stay-at-home mom, and then a homeschool mom. And pretty much I wanted to also teach her. So I was a homeschool mom up till she was basically 3 years old. And it was fun because we went outside, we did different activities, and I basically gave her the activities that I sold from my Etsy shop. So, but the way it started for me having my Etsy shop was when I saw this mother. She was on social media and saying she sells printables on Etsy shop and she earns this amount of money, 1,000 or something each month. And I was like, yeah, me too, I want that, right? And I was bummed out because she had a program to join, and it was about it was a $200 program, and I didn't have the money for it. So I went ahead and taught myself, and I remember, sometimes as a mom, I feel like I shouldn't underestimate myself because before I was a mom, I was able to do a lot of things create this, do that, but and so the fact that I didn't have the money for that program to create printables, I decided to teach myself. So I went to YouTube and I decided to create different activities. I was like, okay, I don't need that program. I'm just gonna do it myself. So I went ahead and I followed a YouTube video and basically just followed it and just opened my own Etsy shop. I just did that, followed that. And then I learned about how to create printables. And so the first printable that I created was a fall coloring page. And I forgot where I got the pictures from. Oh yeah, Creative Fabrica. I use Creative Fabrica till this day. That is the best source to get really good quality images. So I created my fall coloring pages, and I thought I think I tried my best. But when I look at it now, I was like, man, I can't believe people bought it. But it wasn't bad. But it's my coloring pages are so much different than back then. So I created coloring pages, and that's basically what I started out with my Etsy shop, is create coloring pages. And then I learned how to create an I Spy game. I learned how to create, what other things? Bingo, a scavenger hunt. And I just basically now learn how to make different printables. I can give you a whole list of everything that I've learned, just basically by watching a YouTube video and then making it on Canva. And it's funny because before Canva, I was using, what was I using before? I think it was Google Sheets. That's what I was using before Canva. And I was using that. And then Canva came up, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I could figure out Canva, because it was a new thing and I had to figure it out. And I love Canva now. Now with Canva, it's like super easy to me and it's more manageable. But I learned that way. I learned by applying from what I watched in the YouTube video and just applying and creating it and selling it, And so, I'm very thankful that I did not give up. The fact that I did not give up on creating printables, it was reassuring for me whenever I got a sale. My first sale, I remember when I got my first sale, that was like, what? Like, people will buy my stuff? And that was so amazing, the fact that I could create something and people would buy it. So, having that skill and being able to create things out of nowhere, it is surely a blessing, and I'm very thankful that I have my Etsy shop. I've had it for 4 years, and I've tried to not compare myself, especially with my sales. So I've had my Etsy shop for 4 years, and I've reached like 428 sales. And sometimes I will look at other shops and be like, oh wow, that shop has 1,000 sales and they've only been open for 1 year. But then I'm like, no, I cannot compare myself. My experience is so much different from other people, and I know they work really hard and I work really hard, and it just takes time, and having an Etsy shop is a lot of work. I can't believe that I was about to close it 2 years ago because the sales went down and up. But I'm very thankful that I have my Etsy shop, because I'm able to learn. I keep learning new things, creating new printables, and being able to help people find educational activities from around the world. I had a customer from Australia, and I had another customer from Hong Kong. Like, it is amazing that I get to help people from around the world. So having an Etsy shop and being a mom entrepreneur and a small business owner, it makes my, what's the word? It makes me feel so much better about myself. It makes me regain my confidence in who I am as a mom, as a woman, and as a wife, because I feel like I have different roles. I'm a wife, I'm a mom, but I'm also a woman, and I want to be able to support that, to support myself in a way that, I tell God my dreams of having an Etsy shop and being hopefully one of the top 5 shops. But it really makes me feel very happy being able to create things that people enjoy. So I'll see you guys in the next video.